Hi everyone. As we finish up the second week, just want to send you a little bit of basic information, maybe a couple of explains, and help us to move through and keep going in our first unit of the course. This second week has been asking you to take a closer look at geography as well as the sort of organization of time periods and a little bit more information about why the term Mesoamerica is used rather than just the name of the modern day nation of Mexico or Mexico. So here we go. In the very first week, there was a map blank with some map locations. I do want to strongly encourage you to take a few minutes, and if you already have maps that are filled out, fill it out in your own handwriting and label the things, or just pull it up on the internet. It's super fast and really easy to do. But what isn't great for our class is to have a map that's already filled out with everything. But to start out right now, because understanding where these indigenous societies were living, where to find those on a modern map, and understand the regions that had large lakes, the ones that had none, that had really large mountains or the biggest volcano in the particular region, or large rivers that would help them travel more rapidly from location to location really matters. It also will make it much easier as we go through the course and we particularly start to look at individual cities, communities, and zones. When you're doing the reading, if you know that one particular area is really far away from another and they're saying that they were trading and traveling with each other, got a better idea of what was actually going on and how much work, time, and energy it was to continue those modes of transportation and communication. So that's a good reason why it's important. In this particular unit, not specific to the quiz that's finishing up this week, but certainly for your first exam, there will be visual questions that just ask you to take a look at your filled out map. And it's in the week one for unit one, still there, always will be there. And go ahead and label those, and I'll just ask you which of these arrows is pointing to the state of Jalisco, or which of these arrows is pointing to Mount Orizaba, or something like that, Lake Orizaba. So you'll have it already done, super simple. Just so that you know how to plan ahead. This week, also introducing you to some of the core cultural aspects that nearly every single one of the various linguistic groups that we're going to be reading about were using in order to have their small villages, medium towns, large cities, and other sorts of activities. So there is a lesson in there saying, what is Mesoamerica? So please go through that as well, and be sure that you've pulled it up and quickly made a couple little notes, or you've got that ready to go when you finish up with your quiz. The vocabulary page that was there last week in the first unit is still usable for all the weeks of a unit, and I've posted it again for the one in the last one just before it's time to take our exam and move on to the second unit of the course. In this one, do use the basic section at the top that says geography for semi-concepts, and then really the other one that says Mesoamerica General, that section. And it's going to have a number of terms that relate specifically to week one and week two. The last section that has a lot more details are going to be super relevant for next week, week three, and the week after that, week four, where you begin to learn much more specifically about the concepts of the nature of the reality. What is life? What is the universe? Where does water come from? What is a whole bunch of other really cool things that we're going to look at and study in the course. Okay, so that section of the vocab, not this week. As you finish up your quiz for this week, then again, be sure that you have taken a look at or worked over that PowerPoint. Be sure that you have taken a look at and gone through, in this book, the Co-Mexico book. This one, when I ordered it for the class, the most current edition was the 8th. Now I know there's a 9th, but this one should work just fine. Those pages are listed there, but pages 8 through 16, which also again super emphasize why understanding geography and the natural environment has to do with climate, rainfall, altitude, all that really cool stuff. For ancient societies that are, all the ones we're looking at are growing at least a good portion of their own diet. So farming, agriculture, and so forth is part of that. So pages 8 through 16, then 27 through 30, emphasis again on agriculture and some of the dominant crops, even though there's many dozen of them. We're going to meet just a few. And then finally, that last page, 36, talking about what settled life was for these variety of societies that we're looking at and that we're going to move forward to next week. Okay, so your quiz is open for you to complete by the end of the day on Sunday, and you're wrapping up your first discussion of the course where you introduce yourself and make a few comments about a few other things related to being a student in an online course. In your discussion, do know that one of the things I will always ask you for your primary or original thread is to please separate your thoughts into separate paragraphs. When we haven't met each other or we're not actually looking at somebody talk, it's a lot easier to understand when that person is changing the focus a little bit or has moved on to another comment. So it's a little bit better scoring if you've got it in that particular modality with edited paragraph structure. Be sure that you post all of your posts by the end of the day on Sunday, and you'll have wrapped up Unit 1. All right, thanks again, everybody, and keep in touch, and I'll see you in Canvas. Oh, last thing, won't start grading those until everybody has finished posting by the end of the day Sunday, so you'll see your scores start to pop up at the beginning of next week. All right, thanks very much. Enjoy your weekend.